Carrie Geren Scoggins, Political Newsletter, Bible Prophecy Times Edition, End Times Prophecy News Update.
Hi, and welcome back to End Times Prophecy News Update. This is Carrie Geren Scoggins. We have a news story today concerning the California school system. They've invited in LGBT groups to push the gay and lesbian agenda, ending in Christian students humiliated in front of the class for not submitting to anti-Christian ideals, violating the students' Christian civil rights, their First Amendment rights, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, giving Christians protected class status under the law, as well as their legal right to adhere to biblical core values, in which the federal Supreme Court cited the legal right to adhere to biblical core values on every issue, adhering to the biblical viewpoints on the issues of the day, citing specifically homosexuality and the legal right to adhere to biblical doctrines as opposed to other belief systems, including that of LGBT. The school superintendent states that he's supporting the fight against discrimination. However, he's not fighting against anti-Christian religious discrimination. He doesn't want freedom straight across the board, only for the leftist liberals pushing the gay agenda. And here goes the legality of not having an opposing viewpoint. If they're going to bring in speakers from the outside to push the gay and lesbian agenda, going so far as to not only spread false information that they've been proven to be born gay, knowing there's no gay gene, and the American Medical Association has plainly restated there's never been found a gay gene to date, no clump of genes that create a homosexual, nor was there ever found epigenetic markers that cut on gay genes. Keeping this in mind, where was the opposing viewpoint that the law demands be brought in when a political issue is brought before all students? Where was the Republican speaker brought in to say, we oppose the LGBT community's viewpoint, there's never been found a gay gene to date, and there's more proof that they're not born gay, now with all the new studies that have been done? Our schools have turned into a political propaganda outlet. Just as Thomas Jefferson said it would be if the government took over our school system. Again, as I've stated in prior videos, our youth can quote the whole Democratic Party platform due to liberal indoctrination in the school system, yet they cannot quote an opposing viewpoint. The push for a demand for the conservative opposing viewpoint to the Democratic Party platform in our public schools is on the rise, and certainly an end to the anti-Christian religious discrimination. It's freedom straight across the board. If they want to bring in liberal leftists to teach their views, they have to bring in religious right and Republicans to teach theirs. Recently, we saw that the atheists had atheism deemed a religion. This goes along the same lines because it's anti-Christian religious indoctrination. When they're bringing in political propagandists into the school, teaching an anti-Christian agenda, purposefully de-Christianizing your students, your children. They're violating those Christians' civil rights. The state cannot condone nor condemn any religious tenet. Therefore, they certainly can't bring someone in to condemn the Christian religious tenet of Romans chapter 1. And certainly not stigmatize, humiliate, harass, bully the Christian students for not conforming to their views. It is state indoctrination. It's illegal. And it's time for parents to speak up and file suit. This is for the minds of our children and for our nation. Many Christians just sit back and say, well, this is a sign of the times. We know the end times are coming, and Daniel's chapter 11 points out that the Antichrist will be a homosexual and support the gay agenda. And chapter 7 and 8 that it will be a global gay agenda. That the Antichrist system will wage war against the saints and overcome them. Revelations. And we noted throughout the Christian churches, the great whore of Babylon in the last days will come in to push this agenda. And the daughters of the whore will be the youth propagandized by this movement, set out to fight the Christians with the full-on, unadulterated hate, like that of Nazi Germany and the Bible burnings, and the move to incarcerate Christians and Jews for not pushing the gay agenda in pre-Nazi Germany. Pre-Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler supported the gay and lesbian agenda and created an all-gay regiment in the Nazi military called the Brown Shirts, who conducted the Bible burnings. It wasn't till later on that Adolf Hitler changed his mind, deciding that if it was genetic, that homosexuality would have to be caused by a defective gene, because it would stop the procreation of the race.
May 1933. All over Germany, Nazi students, brown shirts and Hitler youth gather and burn books by the thousand. Works of literature, philosophy and science, believed un-German, are consigned to the flames. Adolf Hitler has declared war on reason itself.
America is headed down that same path. Gays and lesbians getting into law enforcement and military. And since they've overturned the Posse Comitatus Act, trying to bring military in to police the nation, the gays and lesbians that have worked themselves up into high offices are getting in to bully and harass the Christians. As I've shown you in past videos, already spreading anti-Christian religious propaganda illegally, violating Christian civil rights, deeming them as a terror threat or extremists. Done throughout the military, and we've even seen this sent out in memos throughout law enforcement. It's time for the Christians to stand up and file suit. It is illegal. It comes with $100 million in punitive damages for Christians having their civil rights violated. But while I appreciate the work of the American Center for Law and Justice and Jay Sekulow, I see the need to sue for punitive damages. Because when money is not at stake, they tend to just sweep it under the rug because it's not costing them anything and continue on in their movement. It's sad that you have to use money to punish civil rights violators. This is the move our nation has made. Stand up now, or we'll have these, quote, daughters of the whore, anti-Christian, pro-gay, government informants swarming the churches, trying to record them, get something on them, and take their civil rights. We've already seen this in Houston, Texas, where the lesbian mayor was trying to subpoena church sermons, hoping to criminalize their religious tenets against homosexuality, noting federal laws protecting Christian civil rights, trump state anti-discrimination laws. The church's legal right to adhere to biblical core values is the federal Supreme Court upheld. And of course, the 1964 Civil Rights Act and their First Amendment rights. A freedom of religion. It's not a freedom from religion. Religious tolerance is expected. And though this move was shot down, we still saw Atlanta Fire Chief illegally fired for his religious tenets concerning LGBT. His belief in Romans chapter 1, anti-Christian religious discrimination, as was to be his civil rights protected by the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title VII, and his legal right to adhere to biblical core values while on the job. We've seen Democrats try to bring in media moderators, internet moderators, hate speech laws, which were overturned in the federal Supreme Court because it violated the separation of church and state, keeping the state out of the church, stopping Bible censorship on issues such as homosexuality and that of Romans chapter 1. The war on Christianity from the Democrats has not stopped, nor will it. The church needs to stand up and get politically active and demand their Christian civil rights and begin to file suit in the courts. And start public awareness campaigns contacting federal, state, and local agencies in the school system, reminding them of Christian civil rights, that we're not going to back down. We're taxpayers and citizens, and we have civil rights as well. For those in California, start writing your school system, as well as all Christian citizens across the nation, demanding an opposing viewpoint to the gay agenda. If they're going to bring in leftist Democrats, they have to bring in religious right Republicans to refute them. Teaching that they're born gay, noting there is no gay gene, without an opposing viewpoint, that of course the American Medical Association has again restated. There's no proof they're born gay. They've never found a gay gene. The legal right to oppose the Democratic Party platform. Get in there and demand that the students hear the opposing viewpoint, that they're not just propagandized with the Democratic Party platform throughout the school system. Demand that the laws be upheld and that Christian students do not have their civil rights violated. Their legal right to adhere to biblical core values, such as Romans chapter 1, and the legal right not to be bullied by those demanding that no other viewpoint but theirs be acceptable. Those of the radical Democratic Party, the LGBT community, who doesn't want freedom straight across the board for liberals and conservatives, gays and Christians. They only want freedom for their side. And remember, you are not a libertarian until you support the legal rights of those that you despise. This includes Christian civil rights. This has been another End Times Prophecy News Update. Thank you for listening.
This has been another edition of Carrie Geren Scoggins political newsletter, Bible Prophecy Times Edition, End Times Prophecy News Update.